This is the Relevant Podcast.
It's episode 1129, and it's the Relevant Podcast, our first episode of 2024. Here in Orlando, I'm your host, Cameron Strang. Before I introduce the cast today, though, I do want to give you listeners a little behind-the-scenes update. We actually had a show last week, recorded the show, and then illnesses on the team prevented it from getting put out on time. But we're back in the saddle Tuesdays and Fridays on time with this episode. So there is a lost episode, lost to history. Some really funny stuff happened. I'm really sorry you won't be able to hear it, but this is a good show that we have in store for you today as well. Joining me from Loverland, Virginia, is Jesse Carey.
Hello, hello.
From Nashville, Tennessee, our managing editor, downtown Emily Brown.
Hey, y'all.
And in LA, you know from Social Club Misfits, it's Marty.
What's that?
Okay, so we're recording this unusual. Derek can't be here today because we're doing a different recording time. But I have to ask you guys something. So we're recording earlier than normal. It's not like way early. It is early for Marty, but earlier for us in the East Coast. And I'm really tired this morning, and I need to tell you why. So last night, Magic are on a road trip in the West Coast, and their games start at 10, 11 o'clock at night, right? So I'm watching the games. We're playing the Sacramento Kings. So if you are an NBA fan, dear listener, you know when we're recording this. So the Magic played the night before. So West Coast, traveled, so they're exhausted. They're depleted. 8 of our players are out injured for this game. 8.
Wow.
We have Paolo Banchero, who's the Rookie of the Year, and Jalen Suggs are the only starters. All the other starters are out injured. Our entire bench is out injured. Who do you play on the second night of a back-to-back? You go to your third string, which are G League, minor league kids who never get in the game, right? We're starting G League kids.
Was Mac in?
No, he didn't get called up in time because we're out on the West Coast. So no, it was like Queens. Tremont. I don't know these kids. Anyway, I'm texting with some buddies. I'm like, man, this is gonna be rough. This is gonna be a rough one, And sure enough, by the early third quarter, we're down 18 points. Literally, our guys are like passing the ball to each other, and it just goes out of bounds because they've never played together. It was just like Globetrotters level bad. It was ugly. Anyway, third quarter, these kids who have never played together before just start catching fire, and we come all the way back. We are the worst 3-point shooting team in the league. We're number 30 out of 30 teams. We set an all-time franchise record for three-pointers made last night. The 35-year history of the Magic. They made like 25 threes. We come all the way back. Paolo had a career-high night of 43 points on a back-to-back. We come back from 18 down, go into overtime, and then we go into a second overtime, and then they just straight up ran out of gas, and we lost at the buzzer and whatever, and you're bummed. But it's like I'm up till like 1:30 in the morning, and like the chat's going crazy, and we just couldn't believe what we just saw. Like it was like the most underdog. Like you're rooting for these no-name kids trying to, it's really their first time on the NBA court for a lot of them. And it was crazy. It was crazy. It was a crazy night. Anyway, so I'm telling Emily and we're playing out this episode as we do a couple hours before the show. And we're on the phone and she's like, man, you're yawning. And I'm like, yeah, I'd stay up late watching. And I don't really talk sports with Emily, but I was like, this is such a Rudy underdog thing. I'm tired. I'm like, I'm going to tell you what I experienced last night. Like this was a crazy roller coaster. And so I tell her the whole thing that I just told y'all, but with way more detail. And
tears in your eyes.
And at the end of the conversation, this big epic tale, she goes, do they call Orlando Magic players magicians?
The wind right out of your sails.
Listen,
I'm like, I literally, because she didn't even say the full word before I said no.
But he said it with like significantly more disappointment in that. Like, imagine the most you've disappointed, I don't know, your father or something, and he is just pouring out the disappointment on you. That's how I felt in that moment because it was, I know,
the most heartfelt story.
Yeah, because
and you're like, magicians.
Let me explain why that was my question. Because again, like, no offense to sports fans, it's fine, I get it, sort of on a level. Like Cameron was giving me all this detail, I was having to use every possible brain cell to like stay focused on the story and pay attention and care. And I thought,
It's the
you know
names,
what?
yeah.
If they were named magicians, I would care so much more about this. Like I would actually be a fan.
Jesse,
they
she
were
literally was
magicians.
asking me, like, is their mascot a magician? Like at the games, is there like a magician walking around doing tricks in the crowd and stuff?
That's a
And I'm
good
like,
question.
no, it's Stuff the Magic Dragon.
It really is a missed opportunity
Anyway.
because they could be the one.
Thank
they could
you.
be the one
It is a
team.
missed opportunity,
I knew
honestly.
Because
If
here,
there was a guy in the crowd with a top hat and a cape doing magic tricks with like a white the stick that looks like a cigarette,
Yes.
it's like white and then
Like you're
black.
trying to watch the game and this guy just comes up and is like, pick a card, any card. I'm having the time of my life.
I disagree. I think it should be like more street magic style. I think the idea of having a couple bros out there in like or ladies in like black jeans, black t-shirt, just doing pulling pennies out of their nostrils or
David
something.
Blaine.
That's what we want to see. That we want street magic or Chris Angel.
That's amazing.
Street magic style.
Yeah.
What is Chris Angel doing these days? Could he be the mascot for the Magic? Can we get him on that?
Listen, I did concede eventually to Emily that the idea of having a mascot for the kids, Stuff the Magic Dragon, and having a mascot for the adults, a literal magician doing crowd work. Like I was like, I conceded that that's it. That's not a terrible idea. But I got offended at the idea that she was saying that Magic fans and players should be called magicians. Like we are,
Yeah.
you know,
Why
it's
is
like
that
if you, but
offensive?
you know
Why
what?
is
If you're a
that
player
offensive?
and like you say, I'm
Thank you.
I'm
They should be
offended.
called Magics, Jesse.
I'm offended as a
Should
fan
be called Magics.
because A, it makes sense, and B, it's really lame, and I don't want to be called a magician because I'm a Magic fan. But like,
Well,
Awesome.
that's what you
But
get
if
for
you
being
think
a
about it,
Magic
like-
fan.
you're a Hawk, you're a Laker, you're a Celtic, you're a whatever, you're a Magic. It doesn't make sense. I get
Okay,
it.
Half the
But
words you
right.
just said are fake. What is a Laker? What is that?
a member of the Los Angeles Lakers.
Well, they originally were from Minnesota, hence the purple and the reference
Minneapolis
to
Lakers.
the lakes. But they moved from Minnesota to Los Angeles, but they kept the name, the Lakers. Same thing. Interestingly, I don't know if it's interesting. Maybe I just find it interesting. But the Utah Jazz originated from St. Louis, where St. Louis was known for its jazz
New
scene.
Orleans. New Orleans.
Oh, wow.
I
New
thought
Orleans.
they were. I know New Orleans is known for its jazz, but I thought it was St. Louis. I thought the jazz either way, it was St. Louis or New Orleans, a city in the South that has a history of a very important history in the jazz scene.
They relocated from New Orleans to Salt Lake City in 1979. So it was New Orleans Jazz.
So they moved from a jazz city, with a name that is very important to the culture of New Orleans. They moved to Salt Lake City, Utah, arguably the least jazziest city in the country. And I think there's a pretty strong case.
So
like,
true.
what city, if you had to rank every city in America, which one do you least associate with the music of jazz? You're probably going to say Salt Lake City, Utah. Yet they have maintained the
Probably,
name. And I feel like, well, same thing with the Lakers. It's not like Los Angeles is a land of all these lakes. They got a couple parks, but
Right.
why'd they keep the Lakers? I digress. But
Well, the LA Clippers. The LA Clippers originated in San Diego for Clipper ships, a big Navy
Yeah.
town, Navy city.
Yeah.
So Clipper ships. So they moved up to Los Angeles. So they kept the name the Clippers.
What I'm hearing is the NBA doesn't know how to correctly name anything. So I propose I'll go in and fix everything. And
Okay.
and that's how you'll get me to care about the
But
NBA.
here's the deal.
Do you guys a
I
favor.
speaking on behalf of all Magic fans,
Magicians.
we reject the moniker magicians. We reject it. So
I
come
don't.
up with another option. We're not the magicians.
I don't.
Magics.
Yeah, Jesse gets it.
Oh,
Does
I
he-
just said I'm all for it. I think we keep magicians. I think it's great.
No, thank you. I reject it. Although I do like the idea of an adult mascot.
Yeah, I think the world would be better if we had more magicians, I think is what we're really getting at. And I think Orlando could lead the charge on this. So I don't understand why you don't want Orlando
We are
to
the
be
Magic
known.
Kingdom, I guess.
It's true.
Down here.
It's true.
So we have the big Harry Potter world, which is magic-y, I guess. I don't
Well,
know.
yeah, why
There's
is
a lot of
Mickey
magic
Mouse
down
not
here.
the mascot for the Orlando Magic?
Because Disney doesn't own the magic.
Well, check this out now.
Steamboat Willie?
Do a loophole. Now they can use Steamboat Willie for free.
Okay.
100 years.
New plan. Scratch the Magicians. Steamboat Willie's the new Orlando Magic mascot.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting is
Steamboats.
obviously about that trademark thing is we know there's different eras of Mickey, and obviously it's just Steamboat Willie that became open, not Mickey Mouse. You can't make other merch. But in the next 5 years, Donald Duck and Pluto drop into the public domain. And there's not different eras of that. It's just Donald Duck and Pluto are going to be free for all by 2030.
I wonder why they can't like copyright it. Like, is it just that's a crazy law because it's like still being used for movies? Like,
but that's the thing is like not that version, and so it's like it's old. I mean, that's just what it is. Every 75 years, everything drops into the public domain. I mean,
that's what's crazy. Like, I mean, right now you could take any sports logo and put on a hat because all those logos are now free use too. Mm-hmm. So in the last couple months, I started seeing popping up LA, New York teams. I'm like, how? It's because it's all free logo as well.
And then it's fascinating the public domain stuff. I think Superman comes available in like
and Batman.
Oh, because we don't have enough. Yeah, Superman
and Batman.
Yeah.
And Batman. Do you guys want to know a fun fact about in the Disney World? Fun fact world, if that. I don't know if that makes sense. Fun fact about Walt Disney.
Tell me. He loved opium. He was an opium addict.
Well, number one, he loved cigarettes. And he was such a bad chain smoker. They have edited every cigarette. And you can go to, if you can see any photo of him in Disney World, they Photoshop badly. If you go to Disney World Presents, they Photoshop badly all the cigarettes out of his hand. And every photo, he was notorious for pointing with the cigarette. So that's number one. But number two, when he died, he wrote a note that said, "Kill Goofy." Have you heard that one?
Oh.
So he felt like when he first got into animation, he was never taken seriously. He felt like he had to make characters like Goofy. He had to make characters that were like, just unflattering. And so he felt like he loved adult animation stuff like Sleeping Beauty and like adult. So he wrote "Kill Goofy" because he was like, I'm not being taken seriously with my animation. And that's so it was like a symbol for him. So he wrote that on his desk before he died. I was reading his book last night and that's what it said.
That's his rosebud is "Kill Goofy."
Kill Goofy. He just felt like it was a joke. And what he did was serious animation. Yeah.
Well, when Goofy enters public domain, I'm sure there's going to be something called
Winnie the Pooh versus Goofy.
It is crazy how like anytime, or it seems like anytime some like beloved childhood character enters public domain, like Steamboat Willie or I think Winnie the Pooh last year, there's always a bunch of horror movies that come out about it.
Yeah, there's a horror film.
And it got him queued up too.
There's a horror game coming out of Steamboat Willie.
Well, the thing is they got him queued up too. Like they've been making these movies. Yeah, they've been making these movies in anticipation for the public domain thing, that they've been working on for a while.
Yes. They got it in the clip ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the first person shooter black and white Steamboat Willie game, like violent game.
No.
Yeah. I saw a trailer for it. It's about to come out.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, we have a great show in store for you today. Coming up later, we need to ask Tim Ross what he thinks about what Magic players and fans should be called. Because I say I play for the Magic or I'm a fan of the Magic.
You tell people you play for the Magic?
No, I'm saying like that's what if I was a player, I would say I play for the Magic, not I'm a magician.
But doesn't the second one just roll off the tongue so easily? I'm a magician. It just makes sense.
But then you get confused. Like, oh, well, show me a trick.
Okay.
No, I'm a basketball player.
This part got left out of the recap conversation. You likened athletes to superheroes. So I don't think it's too much of a stretch to say that athletes are like magicians.
No, you were asking me because I was telling you about Shaq and Penny. I was trying to give her context. Okay, y'all. We went all the way back to Shaq and Penny.
Yeah, you had to keep going back to
specifically. I asked, was Shaq still on Magic when Aaron Carter wrote the song "That's How I Beat Shaq"?
Well, that's a great question.
I said, what year did it come out? She said 2002. I said, no, he left in 96.
It was 2000, sorry.
Yeah, he was in Heat.
Yeah. He was on the Lakers. He was 34th center for the LA Lakers.
Wow.
Oh,
yeah. So anyway, we went all the way back to that. And then her follow-up question was, is he a really large human? And I said, yeah, he's like 7'1", 350. He has like size 24 shoes. He's a massive human. Like she said, it's almost like our athletes are the closest we have to superheroes. And I said, more like superhuman. So don't put it on me that I'm calling them superheroes.
Emily starts just asking you like really weird questions. She's like, "Do you think you could beat up Shaq?"
Exactly.
You could.
This is our sports discourse.
Like you're spilling your heart out. They're like, they just won the G League. You think Shaq uses a lot of deodorant?
I mean, I can't ask a follow-up question about stats. I don't know what we're talking about, but I can talk about other things.
Here's the thing: like, we're splitting hairs, but in reality, like, if you look at someone like Boban, right? There's an NBA player who is, I don't know, what, 7'7" or something, but his hands are massive. I saw a picture the other day of him holding an iPad. Same. And it looks smaller than an iPhone in a normal person's hand.
It looked like a Tic Tac in his palm. Like it was.
And you're like, it is superhuman. Like it's incredibly impressive.
Yeah, it's some Ripley's Believe It or Not type stuff.
How do basketball players text?
I don't know, but like Wemby, the new NBA rookie, all-star rookie, Wemby is 7'4", and they keep showing pictures of him standing next to other NBA players who are ginormous humans, and he is literally like, it looks like he's double their height. I mean, he's another, he's a rookie. I don't know how you live like that. I mean, like, he's hitting his head. He can't go into an 8-foot ceiling house.
Insane.
Anyway. Well, we have a great show in store for you today. Coming up later, we talk to Tim Ross. He's a speaker, host of the Basement Podcast, and he's dropping a new book that we talked to him about. Don't miss that. And at the end of the show, we have a game you don't want to miss. But stay tuned right now. Up next, It Slices. You're listening to Capital Soiree. The song is Dancing Off My Sins. I don't think it works that way. Today's show is brought to you in part by Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service. With Factor, you can eat well for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. I'm a Factor customer, and I can't tell you how much I love Factor. Everything comes fresh, not frozen, and it is ready in literally 2 minutes, which is perfect. You just heat it and eat it. It's so good. And if you're looking to lose a little weight in the new year, try their delicious dietitian-approved Calorie Smart meals with 550 calories or less per serving. They also have high-protein meals, vegetarian meals. There's so many options. Head to factormeals.com/relevant50 and use code relevant50 to get 50% off right now. Again, that's code relevant50 at factormeals.com/relevant50 to get 50% off. Go do it. All right, it's time for
Slices.
What do you have, Jesse? Oh, I know what you have.
I actually called Cameron about this yesterday.
It's a great one.
I came across a headline, and I've been searching for slices on a daily or weekly basis for most of my adult life.
18 years, since 2005.
That's the reality of this situation. Usually I know with like 60% certainty. Emily, you could probably do the same. Without 60% certainty, just reading the headline, this is going to work or not. Mm-hmm. Then I have a full 100% assurance after reading it and determining, okay, this one actually has legs. Sometimes you run across a headline and you're like, I don't care what the story is. I'm reading the headline. I'm bringing this. And like the decision has been made. And this was in the Wall Street Journal. This was a reputable outlet. Okay. This wasn't like on Fark or something like one of these or Reddit or whatever. Right. This is an actual story. This is an actual headline that ran in one of America's great newspapers. I'm going to read the headline. How one Texas county is fighting 43,000 monkeys. I'm in, guys.
Wait a second.
I'm in. Let me read it again. Let me read it again. Wall Street Journal. How one Texas county is fighting 43,000 monkeys. I almost just don't want to tell you any context for the story. I kind of
what's
want
in
to
your
be-
head is better than the actual story.
I'm like zoo. I'm thinking zoo. I'm thinking
43,000.
Dude, a zoo is 6 monkeys. What do you mean,
Man,
43,000?
the writer of that story was like thrilled when they found out that they could write about this.
They better win a Pulitzer or something.
Yeah.
And it had like a big picture. It was like one of those. It wasn't just a normal story. It's like one of those ones that are dynamic. That when you scroll, they kind of fade the text in, and these big, beautiful images. You know, like I wish, like if I got the Wall Street Journal, okay, if I was a subscriber and it came to my doorstep, and it just and it was nothing. There was nothing on the front page, and it was just black and white text that took up the entire thing. That said, how one Texas county is fighting 43,000 monkeys. And the whole paper was dedicated to this story. I'm in.
Also, remember, the Wall Street Journal is a financial paper. It covers Wall Street and the economy. That's its focus. That's its forte. And it's covering monkey issues now. So,
and they're fighting. That's the thing. They're
fighting.
So continue.
So what's going on in Texas with 43,000 monkeys?
Okay. So, evidently, there is a Texas county where there is a lab that breeds monkeys for medical research that is moving on to public land. And so, I mean, this lab, that their whole job is they breed monkeys, and those monkeys are used. You know, they're not actually conducting the medical research there; they're just breeding the monkeys and shipping them. It's a gigantic monkey farm. And I want to read some quotes from some residents. This is from a shrimper named Jason Roberts, who works near the site. And this is what he told the Wall Street Journal. How much racket does 43,000 monkeys make? I'm sure they're not quiet. I'm sure not either, Jason, the shrimper. I think his concerns are valid. Okay, I want to read another quote.
We know from the monkey sanctuary outside of Tampa, Florida, that they don't stay there. They get out. They find a way. Monkeys are smart. The Tampa one, I don't know if you know this, Emily, there's a big old monkey sanctuary. Thousands of monkeys live on an island. And the way that they keep the monkeys on the island is they create this huge moat around it, you know, so the monkeys have to stay on the island. Mm-hmm. They found a way to traverse the waters.
Find a way.
And so monkeys, there's rogue monkeys all over Tampa. And it's a problem.
Big problem.
Yeah.
And that's not 43,000 monkeys. So Texas is about to be overcome because there's not enough moats.
Do you know what county
Can I read
it is?
another quote? Can I read another quote
Please.
real quick?
Yeah.
It's this is from John Stern, a retired veterinarian who built a retreat for his family in the county. This is what he told the Wall Street Journal. I thought this would be a place to get away from everything. Now a monkey farm is my neighbor.
Damn, he's so upset.
He is so upset.
Wait, Jesse, what county is this?
Charles River, I think that's what it's called. Charles River Laboratory. Oh, it's in Brazoria.
Brazoria County. Oh, that's South Houston.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So this is near population.
Yeah. That's like Sugarland. Like,
but evidently this is in like public land, like, you know, off the beaten path here. But you know, I've come to a solution, and it was. Yeah. Because they're trying to fight it legally, which the research lab, Charles River Laboratories, according to the Wall Street Journal, is worth more than $12 billion. I got news for you, residents. You're not beating them in court. Sorry. They're worth $12 billion. So you can pull all your money from your shrimping empire and your veterinarian's retirement fund. You're not taking them down. I think there's only one solution. Mm-hmm. That's to actually fight the 43,000 monkeys. It's residents versus 43,000 monkeys. Winner gets the county.
How big are these monkeys? How big are these monkeys?
Monkey sized. They're all.
I know, but like, you know, some monkeys are pretty big.
I mean, the only one I saw.
What kind of monkeys are these?
The only one I saw in the pictures was he was a small monkey, but he was drinking from a baby bottle. You know, so it could have been just a baby monkey.
I want the monkeys to win. Then
I don't know how big the monkey, but I still, if you're talking
monkeys to win this fight,
because they're acting like on the outskirts of this county, we're talking a few dozen families, a few dozen residents. You know, I don't know, maybe 100. Even if you're talking 43,000 baby monkeys, I still take the monkeys. That I think they're just going to overwhelm you.
Yeah, that's like that one game they have on TikTok where it's like Darth Vader versus 1,000 zombies, like who would win? That's exactly what we're playing with here. We're playing with 43 monkeys versus 120 Texans. Let's see who wins.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a big story. I'm going to be following it all year. It's the story of the year. I've already declared it. Is one Texas county is fighting 43,000 monkeys.
I'm telling you, they're gonna get loose. They're gonna wreak havoc all over Houston.
It's inevitable.
Houston's gonna be known as Monkey City after a while. It's inevitable. Tampa has told us they don't stay still. They find a way.
It's not like
man.
Brazoria County isn't Houston. It's like right south of Houston, but I mean
they move, they travel.
Yeah,
it's
like county
darkness.
line is like right on the edge of Houston. So if
a mob of 43,000 monkeys could get from South Houston into Houston fairly easily. Yeah,
and take over.
Awesome,
and take over.
And take over. That's what I'm saying.
Style.
Very easy. And like they had it was just like a chain link fence that said keep out. Now I don't know what kind of cages they're in, but it's like why even put the chain link fence up?
Monkeys can't read.
Because of the
like
monkeys
chain link is what
reading.
they want to climb on.
You're incentivizing them. You're
Imagine if
incentivizing
Houston
them.
changed their names to the Monkeys.
That's what I'm saying. The Houston Rockets becomes the Houston Monkeys. Yeah.
Houston Monkeys. That's something that Emily could follow now. It's like, it's from the,
it makes
the story of when they fought them.
It makes sense.
It's regionally appropriate. I like it.
2024 fight of the monkeys versus humans.
Yeah. Rockets, kind of lame. Monkeys, I'm in.
This isn't the Houston Chronicle. This isn't the Houston Chronicle that wrote this.
Right.
This isn't even USA Today.
Yes.
This is the
Wall Street.
The Wall Street Journal. Like somebody in a newsroom in New York City, right on Wall Street. This, one of the most esteemed financial papers of our time. It's like, hey, I want you to go down to Texas and check out this thing about these 43,000 monkeys. I heard that, John, we got an email from a shrimper, and he is angry.
We got a tip.
We got a tip from a shrimper.
We got an anonymous tip that we got to check out. And then right under it, it's like the Dow Jones is up 40 points. And then there's just this monkey article that's like, what?
Also, why do they even identify Jason Roberts, who works near the site, as a shrimper? Like, how is that fact relevant? It's just
it's about the economy and how maybe the monkeys are going to be hurting the shrimp industry. So maybe that's why it was Jason Roberts seems solely concerned with one thing: how much racket does 43,000 monkeys make? That's his quote.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, a lot.
How is that going to affect the shrimping business?
It's probably extremely loud, and we're just joking, but it's so loud and because monkeys are having fun. It's like a school.
Yeah.
In my mind, it's like a little school of people playing and having fun.
Just give them a barrel. They're having a good old time. Yeah.
That's it. A barrel. Give them a bed. They're jumping on the bed.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, think about when you go to the zoo and you walk by the monkey cage when there's like literally three or four monkeys in there. It's loud. That's what I'm saying. 43,000.
4 of them is loud.
Hey,
yeah.
The shrimper has legitimate concerns. That's all I'm saying.
He does.
I feel for him.
He does.
All right. What do you have, Marty?
All right, I got a good one. For anybody who has resolutions out there, this is an article from our own Downtown Emily Brown. I just want to report this news. 95% of you that have resolutions this year, they're going to fail. Just letting you know right now, 95% of New Year's resolutions will fail. A study said that even 55% of Americans are not even doing it. They're not even making goals. So I don't even know if you have goals. Anybody here have goals for 2024? I think the older you get too, the less I feel like when I ask like my parents, like, well, what are your goals? They're like, stay alive. But I don't know. Like, what are you guys? What are your goals?
Bar. That's a pretty low bar.
I hope that they don't abandon those goals in the middle of the year.
I hope 95% of the people who just want to stay alive,
it's just not working.
I think my goals are maybe more general, like where I think as before I might have said like, oh, I want to exercise 5 times a week or something like that. I think now it's more of like, I just want to exercise more or like be healthy. They're more general. And I think I do that so kind of because of the reason of like, there's so much pressure. I think the studies talked about the reason why 95%
Yeah, the pressure
fail.
of having.
Yeah, it's like if you miss, say I only went 4 days a week, and then I just feel like, okay, well, I failed already, so I'm not going to go at all moving forward. And it's like, just have like a relaxed goal and you'll be fine.
Yeah. It definitely feels like we put pressure on ourselves to do things, and then we get upset by the pressure we put on ourselves, so we just quit. That's what it just feels like. That's what a resolution is to me. You put the pressure on yourself, then you quit because you didn't like the pressure that you put on yourself.
Yeah.
You know, like to compare yourself to other people. So if anybody's listening right now and you're not gonna, and maybe in a couple of weeks you're gonna quit your resolution, it's okay. It's fine. You're good to go.
Well,
you're with
good,
half of the population.
No,
Yeah,
you're good
with
company. 95% of you, like
95, and then 55 are not even doing it. 55 just say, I'm not even gonna. I mean, it's true. This year, I feel like there's no goal. It's just. I think also most people are like us in this room, where we're like thinking, you know, like the time doesn't create new goals. It's just time. You know, we already have these goals. We have things that we want to accomplish. Just time limits, I guess.
I do think it's funny on, I guess it was like January 2nd, I saw a couple tweets going around of people saying like, well, I already failed my resolution. I'll just try again next year. And like, I just think I always think those are so funny, even though they happen every year. But
1 minute, 1 minute in.
2025 is going to be my year.
I've already seen those posts. Like, well, never mind on
They're
2024. 2025 is going to be my year.
It's the 4th.
Yeah. We need Tony Robbins. One day we'll get Tony Robbins. We had George Clooney on the show. So one day we'll get Tony Robbins. We'll ask him about this. Yeah.
The closest thing we've had to Tony Robbins on the show is when we had John Tesh on for the entire show. That man is
just a goal-oriented man.
Yeah. All right. What do you have, Emily?
Super quick. I just want to talk about this because I've seen this online a lot recently and I kind of want to get your thoughts. I've seen a lot of people start pushing back on whenever a series is released, especially on streaming, it's only like 8 or 10 episodes. And I've seen more and more people argue that they want like the 20 plus episodes back. I have mixed feelings about this because yes, I do want more content, but I rewatched Friends last year, like the whole series. I think it's great. I don't think it's aged well, but it's still enjoyable to me. But there are many episodes where it's like, this is clearly a filler episode, or they do like throwback episode where it's just like a montage of scenes and stuff. I don't love that. And so I have mixed feelings about it. And I just want to know, what are y'all's thoughts on this?
First off, what episodes you thought were fillers in the Friends world?
Well, they have the recap ones where it's like everybody gets together for Christmas, and so it's just
that was a filler.
They do like flashbacks and junk for the whole show.
I love those episodes. 100th episodes, those are the best.
I hate those.
Seinfeld 100 episodes. I was watching that literally 2 days ago. Great,
Marty. I think you're the only person.
It's the best stuff, baby. Best stuff.
No,
the only one who likes 100th episode specials.
We found him, everybody. We found the person.
For me, guys.
Yeah,
I think if it's like a sitcom,
I love those.
Yeah, I think if it's a sitcom, because here's the other thing too is like, and I think we've talked about this before, but like the great thing about like old school, like particularly as it pertains to sitcoms, but I guess in some serialized dramas, like there would be. Every episode to some degree was a bottle episode. Like there would be a narrative arc, but they weren't meant to be watched, back to back to back to back. They were meant to be watched on a weekly basis. So if you forgot what happened last week, there might be some reference to, oh, how's the job hunt going? Or, oh, you broke up with so-and-so. But each episode sort of stands alone. Even on another great example, like we've talked about, like early Scandal. Yeah, they still had this like big overarching plot, but there was still the case of the week that they had to fix, that the fixers, or like the X-Files back in the day. They had, the man with the cigarette or whatever, but they're still the monster of the week, right? Like if I'd be down for more episodes if there's more bottle episodes, if episodes lived on their own versus like, because the thing is like, I'm watching like Stranger Things or something. You can't just fire up one, season 4, episode 2, or you know what I'm saying? Like it just doesn't make any sense. Where great things about old Seinfeld or old Office, season 3, episode 6, I'm in. I don't even know what it is, but it doesn't. I can just hop in.
Yeah,
there's something fun about that I feel like is lost. So if it's like that, I'm all down for the 20 episodes.
For the 20. But like I was watching a show the other day on Paramount Plus, and it was called Colin from Accounts, and it's this it's so funny and heartwarming and sweet and smart, just smart, Australian kind of humor. And it's only 8 episodes, and it's like the entire arc of the entire thing. And it wasn't presented as like a limited series like on Apple TV Plus, there's Lessons in Chemistry or any of those, limited series. HBO does them a lot. So you go into it going, no, this is going to be 6 episodes. Fine. It's like a mega movie kind of. No, it's like, it's a show. It's season 1 and it's like 8 episodes. And it's like, you finally are fully invested and it stops. And it's just like, it's such a bummer, but they weren't bottle episodes like you're talking about, Jesse. So yeah, I agree with you that it's like, as you were talking, I was sitting there thinking like, I actually wanted Colin from Accounts to be like a 20 episode first season, but I'm going, maybe it would have just gotten diluted and it wouldn't have been as good. Yeah. Because it's not a bottle episode type approach sitcom like you're talking about. It would be like but it was a comedy, but I mean, it wasn't.
But I think there are episodes, like there's a show that I really love called Dairy Girls. There's only 6 episodes a season, and they're only like half-hour long, but they're all, for the most part, like bottle episodes like that. But
that's not a season. That's 3 hours of content.
I know. That's crazy. And then they all drop on Netflix, and it's like, okay, that's one afternoon for me that I've now watched the whole season. And I love it.
And now you got to wait 1.5 years or 2 years for the next quote unquote season.
And I get that argument, especially like you mentioned Stranger Things, Jesse. Like, people are really frustrated with why has it taken 12 years to put out 5 seasons? Like, not including the pandemic years, sure. But still, like, if you look at the cast, I mean, they were literal children, like 10 years old. And now the girl that plays 11 is getting married this year. And it's like, why is this taking so long? Movie. Yeah. And it's like, but it's like, I don't know. I think about that a lot too with these 20 episode series that we used to have. And it's like, how were we putting out 25 episodes every year? And these streaming services can only get 6 out every 2 years.
I'm telling you, but a generation's coming up that this is the norm. So like I was telling my kid the other day, like, no, it used to be that a normal season was 26 episodes because think about it, it's half the year. And then it was in reruns for half the year, And he was like, what? Like he had no context that that's what shows used to do.
I had no idea either. I just found out also right now.
And their world is 8 to 10 episodes is an entire season.
But those were 3-4 camera. They were basically stage plays that you could just walk out on set, read the script, and then some of them were literally in front of where these are single camera dramas that are shot like movies. You know what I mean? That don't like actually movies, have.
There's no studio audience laughing in the background that you could.
Well, they tried to do it on some of those reboots, like like when Netflix brought back Full House.
Frasier?
No, there's no laugh. No, there's a laugh track. No, there's a fake laugh track. There's not a live studio audience.
I need it. I know sometimes. I was talking to this lady. She does like TV editing. She's like, sometimes shows need it. If you pull those laugh tracks out, it's not good.
The Frasier type writing, the Big Bang Theory writing, where it's like punchline. It needs it. Yeah. Or else.
Yeah.
I saw a TikTok of Friends where they like edited out the laugh track. Yeah. Where not the laugh, like it was a live studio, but they edited out the laughs and like some of the lines that the characters say, it's like, oh, that actually could be saying is like really sad or kind of depressed because they are kind of like self-deprecating.
Big Bang Theory is the same thing. We played this on the show years ago where they edited out the laugh track. It is the most unfunny show. With awkward, weird delays. Friends, too, like a weird gaps and delays in how people talk to each other. It doesn't land at all.
The editor who did this video, she was on TikTok and she was talking about it. And she's like, sometimes we have to have that conversation where it's like, this show has to move forward with the laugh track because it's just... it's not a good show, editing, whatever. And so I gotta look up that Friends thing without the laugh track. That's funny.
Yeah, it's terrible. Anyway, all right, that'll do it for Slices. Stay tuned. Up next, Tim Ross joins us.
I believe I can fly. I put out display with it getter like Bill Nye. I might pull up with camels in Israel. I may get so much money to make him telling me that Jesus is real. I'm not from Houston, I'm from East Atlanta, but baby, I'm still Trill. I'm Atlanta like Trillville. I've been down in the dark for real. I got faith on my heart for real. Yeah, down I was down in the dark, I look up to our window. Yeah, down I was down, don't be counting me out. Yeah, down I was down in the dark.
You're listening to Young Titan and 1K Feud. The song is Count Me Out. Well, today's show is brought to you in part by Living Water International. This holiday season, ignite hope with Living Water. Join the global movement working to solve the urgent water crisis affecting 703 million people. Living Water is bringing clean water and the transformative love of Christ to millions. Right now, your generosity can create 5,000 new beginnings for those without safe water worldwide. Be a catalyst for positive change, one person, one community at a time, building flourishing communities, thriving children, and conquering despair with hope. Make a lasting impact at water.cc/50, where your support transforms lives and ensures a brighter future for all. Again, that's water.cc/FIFTY. Well, our guest today is Tim Ross. He's a speaker, host of the Basement Podcast, and he's dropping a brand new book called Welcome to the Basement later this month. We sat down with him to find out exactly what the basement is, how he's made it his life mission to upset everything, and what he wants to disrupt in the church. Here's our conversation with Tim Ross.
Well, I'm excited to talk with you about your upcoming book, Welcome to the Basement. I think a good place to start for people who may not know is, what is the basement? Or maybe where is the basement?
Yeah, absolutely. So the basement is a philosophy. It's based on a vision that I had when I was 30 years old. And the short story is there's a 100-story building, and the kind of intrinsic thought is that you want to get to the top. When I walk inside of the building and step into the elevator, there's only one button above the L, and it's 100. There's no 1 through 99. And so I press the button, I go all the way up to the 100th floor, and the higher I go up, the more self-conscious I become. And when I get to the top floor, what I am intrinsically aware of, Emily, that I can't identify naturally is that all the people on this top floor are like influential people in Christianity. And so I'm like, oh my goodness, if I'm going to be up here with them, I better, I need to be right, And so I step off the elevator. There's temptation all around me down this long corridor. Bikini-clad women, Speedo-clad men, all holding these silver chargers with every sin, weight, and vice you could possibly imagine. And I'm thinking, this is the test I need to pass to join these people, right? And so I don't pick up anything from the chargers. I get to the end of the hallway, and I see all these people mingling with each other, but everybody on that floor had taken something from one of the chargers. So I get super spooked. I turn around, head back to the elevator, get on it, trying to get back down to the lobby. I'm about to press L, and I see a faint button below the L going down that I didn't see going up, and it's a little B. So I press B, and I go down 101 floors, and before, as the elevator kind of gently rests on that, what I now know to be like the basement level, before the doors even open, I hear laughter and music and, people talking. And when the elevators open, everyone turns around and like, and they grab me off of the elevator. They pat me on the back. They're shaking me like, oh my God, we're so glad you're down here. And one guy grabs me by both shoulders and he goes, I am so glad you made it down here. He said, Tim, not many people that go up there make it back down here. I'm so glad you're here. And the vision's over. So I'm like, what was that? And I just felt like the Holy Spirit said to me, Tim, everybody thinks that the goal is to go up, and it's not. The goal is to come down. And then he said, if Jesus Christ is indeed the chief cornerstone, what floor would you want to live on? And I was like, okay, sir. And then the next thing I heard was, get as many people to the basement as you can. So I'm 30 years old when I heard that, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm going to share this vision with everybody that I mentor, everybody I disciple, and we're just going to be basement dwellers. Like, I have to turn everything into a hook. I must turn everything into I'm a cultural architect. So culture needs language. Culture needs music. Culture needs idioms. It needs nomenclature, right? So I'm like, I gotta get this to as many people as I can. And I had no idea it was supposed to be a podcast reaching hundreds of thousands of people. I just thought it was going to be like, hey, Jesus got his 12, I'll get my 12, and then they'll go get 12, and I guess, after about another 50 something years, I guess we'll reach a few people, so that's how it started.
So like you mentioned, you have a Basement podcast, but now you're putting out this book. Why both? What's different about the book from your podcast?
Yeah, so the book is the it is the what I would call the owner's manual for those that want to live a basement lifestyle and an upset life, right? So the company that I run is called Upset the World, and I truly believe that Jesus lived the most upsetting life that's ever been lived. The Bible is the most upsetting book that's ever been written. And as a result, on January 14th of 1996, I had my life turned upside down by that revelation that Jesus Christ is Lord and God raised him from the dead. And it's just going on 28 years, right? This is my life, right? So, and now I spend my life upsetting others. So I'm quite literally a literalist. I apologize for the redundancy. And so it's on the. I know it's on the spectrum for sure. I admit that. And what I realize is that by definition, upset simply means to turn over. Right? Like not to piss somebody off, not to make them mad. Like it just means to turn over, right? And so that's really at the essence of the gospel message, what it's about. It's a life turned upside down. It's a life turned inside out. It's a life turned, south to north, east to west, north to south, like wherever you are, you're going the opposite way, right? It's a 180. It's not a 360. And so, I just want to teach people how to integrate a basement philosophy and an upside down way of thinking into a practical. That's a big thing for me, is like, if you can't teach somebody how to make this a part of their life on a Monday, don't preach it on Sunday. So like, this is like the most regular, basic way to like approach relational evangelism. Like if I walked up to a stranger and they know nothing about Jesus, should I quote John 3:16 or should I just buy their groceries? Which one's going to hit the heart faster? I think it's the latter, right? And so I kind of teach these concepts as it relates to seed time, irrigation, and harvest, right? Like the body of Christ is so enamored with the harvest. Like, oh, we got to get him in. The harvest is right, but the laborers are few. And I'm like, I don't even think there's enough people sowing seed out here. I don't even know if there's enough people watering the seed out here. So when you say, let's go harvest, are there any apples on that tree? Like, are we even in season for a harvest, or are we just stripping a tree bare and calling it a soul saved? And it's like, haven't they been to the altar 7 times? Like, so the practical evangelism, and then the sensitivity to the Holy Spirit to know when he's nudging you and it's kind of scary and he's like, go do this, go say this to this person. You're like, oh, I'd rather not. And like, that's probably him for sure, right? Because let's rule out you weren't thinking about them and Satan doesn't want them to be encouraged. So it's probably the Holy Spirit, right? So, yeah, those are the kind of things that I cover in the book, and where those principles are scattered abroad, depending on what I'm talking about and what topic I'm covering that day on the pod. This is the concentrated form for a nerd like me who needs to flip a page and underline, or audiophile who needs to put it on as they're driving the car and like digest it and see the imagery. I spoke the book myself. I couldn't have had anybody else do the audiobook. So I did the book myself, and not sure anybody wants to endure my voice reading my book when they also listen to my podcast, but that's what they got.
When you talk about upsetting something, I assume that's often easier said than done. What are some challenges that you faced when you've upset something? Yeah, so one of the things that I cover in the book is, I think one of the chapters is called Disturbing the Peace, but it's not PEACE, it's PIECE.
And one of the things that Jesus was masterful at was upsetting the pieces of people's lives that were out of alignment with his will and his ways. And so when I apply that to myself, I think about all the ways Scripture has disrupted the pieces of my life that have been out of alignment with God, right? And so, I'm innocently reading through Scripture, and then I just get hit with conviction, right? I'm like, oh my God, I was not expecting to be found. I thought I was reading about Saul, and how did I get in here? Like, this ain't about me. I checked. I was not around during the time of Samuel, right? I don't even understand how I got on this page. And then I realized, like, okay, ouch, right? I've been found out, and I need help with this. And so the first thing I do is acknowledge it. The second thing I do is pray about it. The third thing I do is confess it to somebody else, because I got to be held accountable. And then it's a matter of, like, it's the wrestling match. It's the wrestling match that Jacob goes through, right? It's like, I'm gonna sit here until I've just exhausted myself, and then I'm just gonna double clutch your knee and tell you that I'm not letting go until you bless me, change me, do something, right? Rearrange me. So anything that has ever been in my flesh that I've really loved has died hard. Like, that is just, let's just keep it a buck, right? Like, the more you love it, the more it's going to hurt to leave it, right? And so over the years, the most, if I could use language and imagery from 300, Leonidas, let's have a beautiful death, right? Like, if we're going to go out, let's go out in glory. And I don't mean like, let's go out like in a sinful, lustful, freelance, until we die to our flesh. But it's like, you know what, Lord, I'm going to really properly grieve this. I'm stopping this because you hate it. I can't necessarily say I hate it. But if this displeases you and this breaks your heart, then I care more about my relationship with you than I care about my affection for it, whatever it is. Right. And so whether that's something that I feel like I pray and it gets removed, or something that I pray about and then Jesus comes and is like, nope, thorn is staying. Stop praying. Get on with your life, Paul. I've also prayed about something 3 times and my dad didn't listen to me either. So I guess you're going to have to do this. So that's my answer. I don't know if it was too like rabbit traily, but that's my answer to that question.
Just out of curiosity, are there any things within the church that you would like to upset or just see disrupted?
Oh God, yes. So this may be the first time I'm saying this out loud. So trigger warning, right? So I am actually when the vernacular of deconstruction first started coming up, everyone was shook, right? Like, what are you doing? What does that mean? And I'm the type of person, I don't like talking about stuff when I first hear about it, because I'm a context guy. I went to school, I studied administration of justice. I wanted to be in law enforcement. My ultimate goal was to be a homicide detective. You cannot bring a case to the district attorney that you have not thoroughly and sequentially and contextually put together, or else they can't prosecute. They can't go to trial, right? This piece of evidence is missing. This is circumstantial evidence. This won't stick in court. Like, we don't bring this to me, right? So, deconstructionist came out, and once I heard kind of what it was defined as, I had a few comments, but I didn't have a robust commentary to kind of speak on. A year and a half later, Emily, from when I found out about deconstructionists, I'm like, let them deconstruct. Let them tear down all their Legos. Because that's what they're tearing down. They're not tearing down Jesus. They're not tearing down the gospel. They're tearing down the way they were taught about it. That's what they're deconstructing. They're deconstructing their faith as it was communicated and delivered to them, which is the same thing Jesus did to the Pharisees and the Sadducees. He deconstructed the way that they were believing in God, and it got him killed. So if there's nothing new under the sun, and there isn't, deconstruction has already happened, and Jesus was the preeminent one to do it. But we can also say John the Baptist was a deconstructionist as well. So Paul was definitely a deconstructionist. He was a Pharisee, then he wasn't a Pharisee, right? Acts 9. So for me, I'm like, I would love the Legos to be torn down and just leave us with like the church as it was given to us. Right? Nobody's ever going to get it right. As long as a human is involved, it will not be right. But I would love, I got saved in a church that had 47 people in it, including me. Like, I probably made 47. Like, so my parents pastored the church for 15 years. It was bivocational. That's the church I gave my life to Jesus in. And the foundation that they gave me was so good. 28 years later, I'm still a disciple of Jesus. That's better than Jello Church that, you know, holds you to no standard, and you give your life to Jesus because you think you're about to have a party every weekend. And then the first bad season that hits you in life, you just go, I thought God loved me. I guess I'll go back to my old lifestyle. Well, yeah, let's deconstruct Jello Church, because they didn't even tell you right. Like, they didn't even read you the verse that said, in this life you will suffer persecution. So definitely, let's not go to Jello Church anymore, right? Like, so let's go to Steak Church. I don't know. Let's go to Potato Church. Let's go to Salmon and Sea Bass Church. Something with a little more protein in it, and a lot more context. So, I would love to see that change in the church. And I think that's one of the reasons people resonate with The Basement. We have a lot of agnostics and atheists and deconstructionists that listen to our podcast, because we're helping them wrestle through, like, you know what? I know I've been saying the entire like Big C church is wrong, but it wasn't. It was just mine. Or, I had the bad luck of the draw and the last 3 churches I went to sucked. Like, that can happen. Like, it's very, very rare, but you can go to 3 fast food restaurants and get food poisoning. And look, 1 is enough to make you vow off all fast food, but 3 would probably make you think there's a conspiracy involved, right? So, like, I understand that people get hurt, and when you're in pain, the only thing you can see is you and your pain, and then you project to protect yourself, because at our base level, we are not taught, but it's ingrained with us to seek pleasure and avoid pain. So at a very humanistic base level, if I've been hurt by a church, don't go back to a church, and therefore I won't get hurt. But then you'll also be isolated, then you'll be even more lonely, and then you get jaded, and then you don't have any brothers or sisters, and so then you start coming up with theology that can't be checked by people that are also mature in the body of Christ, and then you can't be corrected, and so then you become a cancer cell, and then you spread and metastasize, and then you just get weird and it's ugly.
That was Tim Ross. You can pre-order his new book, Welcome to the Basement, now. Or head over to the relevant website for more of that conversation. Stay tuned. Up next, it's our first game of the year. You're listening to Sparky Deathcap. The song is Send It to Oslo. All right, real quick, we're going to do it's 2024, beginning of a new year. We're looking ahead. So we figured we would do a little round of Would You Rather. Things looking ahead at this year, Would You Rathers. Here we go. Jesse, you're up first.
Okay.
I'm reading these. I think ChatGPT wrote these, right, Emily?
Yes.
AI.
Ooh.
So we are teaching AI our desires, thoughts, and dreams. So, we need to be careful here. Would you rather spend a year learning a new skill or a year traveling to a new place every month?
Travel, for sure. No question.
With your whole family and everything. Not home for an entire 12 months. Interesting.
Yeah.
Travel.
It's not as easy as it sounds, I will say.
Moving into a new house with kids, I don't know.
Because you're going to be like, remember that year we traveled the world? Remember that year I got really good at bowling?
You're an Enneagram 7.
Yeah.
Or a 6 with a 7 wing, or 7 with a 6 wing. Anyway. All right, Marty, would you rather host a podcast episode with your all-time hero or get a chance to be featured on your favorite podcast?
I'd rather host it with my all-time hero. Yeah, Jonathan Lipnicki, the kid from Jesse McGuire.
The average human head weighs 8 pounds.
Jerry Maguire.
Yeah.
Jonathan Lipnicki, the guy from Jerry Maguire, my hero.
Wait, wasn't he in a vampire movie when he was... Wait, Stuart Little? Wasn't that him?
I have no... I'm just messing around. I have no idea. I just thought of his name really quick and she said it.
Emily, would you rather go on a surprise vacation to an unknown destination or plan your dream holiday down to every detail?
Surprise. I don't love planning.
Yeah, me too. Jesse, would you rather have an unplugged month without technology or a month fully immersed in all the latest gadgets and tech trends?
No question, unplugged. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The other one is basically my life right now. Yeah.
Marty, would you rather have hiccups during every serious conversation or uncontrollable laughter at inappropriate times?
Well, I have both, so that's easy. I do have hiccups anytime. I do have hiccups randomly throughout the day. I have like a problem.
There's like a causal relationship when I laugh to it.
Yeah, you know what it is? It's because I lean in bed and I drink from the Stanley Cup, like leaning in bed at a certain angle, and it gives me hiccups. Honestly, that's why.
Speaking of Stanley Cup, did you see that video of like all the women, like outside of a Target waiting for it?
Yeah, and some idiot like walked up in front of everybody, and so now they have a number system where they give you a number, and because they're watching you, they're like, "Hey, these ladies were here first."
They're selling Stanley Cups on StockX with sneakers, like the resale sneakers. They have a Stanley Cup section now on StockX.
I can't wait to watch a Stanley Cup documentary.
I bought one for my wife a couple months ago, not knowing like it was like the thing, you know. And I talked to the guy. It was at like a Dick's Sporting Good. I was like, "Yo, man, which color do you think? Which is the big seller?" And he looked at me like I had 6 heads. He goes, "You pick whichever one is available because they're going to be gone soon." And I'm like, "Whoa, dude!" Like that's literally what he said. You know, he's like, "The shipment just came in. You're very lucky." And I was like, "Oh, this guy looks like he's seen some stuff."
He just moved from Texas. He's like, "You don't even know the store that I have here. I live next to monkeys."
Emily, would you rather only be able to travel by pogo stick or unicycle for a year?
Oh, wow.
I'm going to go with pogo stick because I've tried both. I cannot ride a unicycle. It is way too hard. I can do a pogo stick, I think.
All right, I'm going to wrap it up here. I know this is short, but last one. This is for everybody. This has nothing to do with looking ahead this year. This is a physical physical question. Good. This comes from AI. Would you rather have fingers as long as your legs or legs as short as your fingers?
I would take leg fingers for sure.
Yeah,
I'd be like Boban playing basketball.
I agree. I agree. I've been thinking about this because if you had like little finger legs, then it would be very hard to get around. But you could get around. It would be if you had 2 foot long fingers. I'm not saying your life would be easy, but at least you could, exist. You would be stumpy otherwise. So I don't know. I agree with the super long fingers. Emily, what's your answer?
I keep going back and forth on this too because I really don't know. Because I feel like if I had leg-sized fingers, would I just walk on my hands?
Can I
you
be
have
honest?
that option.
Can I be honest? I'm concerned that ChatGPT is asking us this question because they're like designing, like once they take over and they're trying to just get a consensus on how we're going to redesign humanity based on our biotechnology. The fact that they're asking makes me not want to answer.
That's where the testing. Yeah, they start experimenting on us.
I should have gone
humans.
back and been like, "What do you choose, ChatGPT?" And
Or
see-
ChatGPT, why are you
Oh,
asking
wow.
me this? Yeah, like call it out. Like, this is
creeping me out.
inappropriate.
Yeah.
Also, I think I
So
might.
Emily, you want to have the little finger legs?
I
and
might
just
do
kind of
that.
scoot around.
I'll be honest. Yeah, I probably would just get a wheelchair and like
Mm.
just wheel around and then have normal size.
Once again,
upper body, I
don't. You're providing too much information to AI right now. Just got creeped out with me, and let's
We're gonna
talk about
bleep
these
all of that
43,000
out.
monkeys.
Oh man! All right, well that'll do it for some Would You Rather 2024 edition. Well, before we wrap things up, I want to thank Tim Ross for joining us. You can pre-order his upcoming book, Welcome to the Basement, now. And also, I mentioned over at the website at relevantmagazine.com, we have more of that conversation with Tim. Check it out. It's New Year. We have a lot of new things that we're working on. New magazine issue coming up very shortly. Some new podcasts, some new social. You don't want to miss a thing. Head over to relevantmagazine.com, sign up for our newsletter so you stay in the loop. We send you our top 5 trending stories every weekday morning, and you'll be the first to know about all of our new launches in 2024. And follow us on all the socials. And check out the website every day. Like we're doing good stuff, covering the intersection of faith, culture, and everything in between. All right, on that note, I'll wrap it. I'm Cameron Strang.
I'm Jesse Carey.
I'm Emily Brown.
It's Marty.
All right, we'll see you on Friday. Have a great week, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Relevant Podcast. Check out our features, interviews, and news updates every day at relevantmagazine.com. And make sure to follow Relevant on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest. For more great podcasts, browse the shows on the Relevant Podcast Network, which you can find at our site. And while you're there, don't miss the all-new era of Relevant Magazine. A new issue releases every other month at relevantmagazine.com.
I think there's only one solution. That's to actually fight the 43,000 monkeys.
Relevant Podcast Network.